Back in those days, when there were many people from different villages, they really had a hard time to come to uh, from one village to other village, because we didn't have bridges like this, and it was really difficult because they had to walk, if they have to bring some of their agriculture stuffs to sell from one village to other village. It was very hard for them to bring, and it took many days to come and sell those products to the other side. And it was a very terrible suffering, and it took a long journey to come from one side of the village to the other side of the village. But when the bridge was made, it made their life quite easier, because what took them many days just took them some minutes to just cross the bridge. And when I think about the bridge, how it connected two different villages, I'm reminded of how the cross has also connected us with the Lord, because Jesus came and died on the cross, and we were separated from God, but his sacrifice was just like a bridge, for us to come from one side of a sinful world to come across and have relationship with the God, because sin has really separated us. And that's one side of the story of a cross, because in the West we talk about follow Jesus and life will be good, life will be better. You can just God has amazing plans for you, he loves you, and your life will be better. In fact, this is the truth. Yes, this is just one side of the truth, that life is better with God, and God has a good plans for us. But there's also other side of the story. God has said to us that life won't be that easy when we follow God, because he has said to us, we'll be mocked in his name, people will be persecuted, beaten, and you'll be made kind of a joke. People will come and ask us like, hey, you must be crazy to believe in such kind of faith. So there's the other side of the cross. So following God also means that it's about walking on the bridge on one side, but on the other side is also going through the river. Imagine when the bridges were not there, you have to walk through the river, and walking through the river with carrying that burden, carrying that your luggage with you is quite hard, especially in times of monsoon. We have a time of monsoon here, and you can hear the sound of the river, the hushing sound. It's really terrible to walk during this time. But one thing God has assured us is he wants us to go through that river so that we can learn, so that we can learn and realize that even though we walk through that phase of suffering, phase of trouble, phase of trials and temptations, when lives are really hard, God is still with us, but he allows us to go through that one so that our character is developed, and that we can really feel deep inside our heart that yes, God was with me when I was walking through that through that way. So the story of a cross is, the one side of the cross is, yes, life has become easier, life is better with God, but at the same time there is also a suffering with God. There is also there's also a time where we have to walk a hard time, but God is with us, and there's a joy in the suffering. So when we realize that, when we have passed through that phase of going through that hard time, we have that deep sense of joy in our heart. And I think Paul was talking about that contentment, whether I'm in a life with lots of richness, or whether I'm in a life of very poor things, poverty, I've remained to be content. So I think the beauty of walking with Jesus, the beauty of the cross is that there is contentment in whatever we do. So yeah, there's a time where we have to walk in this bridge, and let's thank God that the cross is there, which worked like a bridge for us to come from a sinful world to the world where God has created a beautiful world